everybody, Michelle McLuhan, astrologer, life navigator, and I'm bringing you an astrology update for the next full moon, which is happening on the 9th of August in the sign of Aquarius. It's a very multifaceted full moon, and it's quite electric. It's kind of more electric than gentle, but it's really the energy of change, this full moon. So there's many different layers of it. It's quite complex, so I'm going to try and do my best to give you an idea of what that means. So first of all, the moon in Aquarius is opposite the sun in Leo, and obviously I did my new moon video 2 weeks ago, and now this is a little culmination of whatever was going on for you then. Leo being where the sun is for around about a month, and Leo representing our creative expression, our unique self, and how we project that out into the world. It's also really connected with the heart, and what I spoke about in my new moon video was the importance of us actually connecting in with that heart energy, because that heart energy is what makes us human. Now, opposite that, we have the moon in Aquarius. Aquarius is a fixed air sign. It's a very busy sign. It's quite intellectual. It has amazing ideas. Aquarius is really the sign of the maverick, the unconventional one, the one who steps out of the box, the one who sees things on a level that other people might not see. Aquarius is definitely the energy of alternative thought, of the maverick, the rebel even. It's the revolutionary energy. That's Aquarius. Aquarius is ruled by the planet Uranus. Uranus is the planet of change and awakening. And what Uranus does as an energy is it actually penetrates into anything that is stuck to help liberate. Aquarius as a sign, Uranus as a planet are connected with awakening and liberation. Those are two very, very clear words and themes associated with the sign and the planet. There's kind of a spark of change. It's a portal. This full moon is definitely a portal for changing and moving out of stuck patterns and embracing the new. That's for sure. I'm going to try and unpack that too. So something new is beginning to pulse, quietly maybe not, but it's beneath the surface. And that could have to do with a tug of war in terms of your personal expression. So what is important for you to express yourself as your uniqueness, in your uniqueness, and the communal truth. So the collective truth, the tribal truth. Are we being authentic? Are we speaking and acting from our authenticity, or are we masking that authenticity? That's what Aquarius full moon will often ask us to look at. It'll also ask us to look at what we're building together as a community, as a tribe, as opposed to only focusing on what we want to do individually. So it's the polarity. A full moon is always a polarity. It's always two different poles, two different sides. So in this case, we've got fire and air. Air fans fire, fire warms air, and it creates lots of energy. Fire and air are both masculine energies. This full moon is full of masculine energies. It has no earth in it. I think that one of the big things that we need to integrate this full moon is time spent in nature, because it'll actually ground the energy. Otherwise it can feel quite heady and maybe even overwhelming. The other part of Aquarius that we just need to be aware of, and its ruler, Uranus. Uranus has just moved into a new sign, Gemini, and this is, along with Pluto and Aquarius, this is really kind of consolidating the uptake and the amplification of AI, which I have referred to in the past, and also the digital age. So where everything is becoming digital, what remains non-digital? And I'm going to keep saying this because I believe that this is a theme that we're going to be working with in years to come and right now. And whatever groundwork we're laying now will actually have a big effect going forward. So where are we getting our truth from? Are we still getting our truth from our inner knowing, or are we getting our truth from outside sources, from somebody who says it's so? And I think that the more this kind of arises, the more it amplifies the digital media and AI. I think that we're going to be called on more and more to be discerning, to say, well, does this resonate with my inner knowing? Now, if we're not focused on the inner knowing, then we're not going to know whether it resonates or not, because we're going to be carried away by this wave, these waves of information. So, questions like, what is the truth, are arising right now. Where is the truth? What is the truth? There's AI, there's fake videos, there's fake audios. You don't actually know what you're looking at and whether it's the truth or not, or what you're reading, or what you're listening to, or who you're listening to, whether they're telling the truth or whether it's just their own perspective. So this full moon is bringing those things out into the surface so that we can really look to see whether we're telling the truth to ourselves, in our communities, to our close ones. Are we telling the truth? Are we being authentic? And in order to find the truth, what do we have to do? We have to align with our inner knowing, not the external world. So I think that is something just to be aware of going forward, not only for the full moon. We might also question and look at, during this full moon, the roles that we play. Are they aligned with our deepest truth, or are they just roles? Are they just masks? Are we covering up something deeper? Because this full moon has only one connection directly, and that is to Black Moon Lilith, which I don't talk about very, very often, but Black Moon Lilith represents the shadow, the feminine shadow, and the rejected shadow. It represents the untamed, the wild, the taboo, the parts of ourselves that we don't want other people to see, that we hide from. We might even hide from them, from our shadow side ourselves. So when we have the full moon in an aspect to Black Moon Lilith, the shadow can come up. Whatever we've buried can come up to the surface. Whatever we've exiled can come up to the surface. Truths that we may not have faced can actually come up to actually greet us, because Uranus and the energy of Aquarius is a truth teller. It wants to know the truth. It wants to reveal the truth. It wants to awaken us from the illusion. So I think that's a very strong theme as well. It's really time, in the broader context, not only just attached to this full moon, to reclaim what we have disowned, the parts of us that we have disowned, in favor of being respected or accepted or loved or whatever it is to actually really look at ourselves in truth, and hopefully being able to communicate that in some way, if not to somebody else, to ourselves at the very least. And sometimes looking at the shadow parts of us isn't that pretty, but it's important to actually see where we might be lying to ourselves. So a lot of people are walking around saying, myself included, that you can't tell the truth anymore from lies. Well, where are we not telling the truth inside ourselves, in our own being, in our own lives, in our own relationships? So that's part of this. The other part, which is aligned, is that Mercury, the planet of the mind, the planet of communication, the planet of how we speak, is actually in an exact opposition to Pluto in Aquarius at this full moon. So Mercury is in Leo, directly opposite from Pluto, which, what does that do? It brings the truths to the surface. Again, truths can erupt because Mercury in Leo is quite fiery and quite passionate, and Pluto brings that to the surface. So we could find ourselves saying things which are a little bit unexpected even to ourselves. Particularly, they'll be unexpected to somebody else if we haven't said anything like that in the past. It's not necessarily a time for shallow dialogue. It's a time to plumb in to what's beneath the surface. So that on its own, Mercury being retrograde, Pluto being retrograde, we're re-looking at where our communications are not authentic, Mercury being communications, and what is underlying that? What can be the secondary gain to not saying or not telling the truth to ourselves or to others? So that's a sort of a portal for penetrating kind of insight into our belief systems, into our communication patterns, into how we communicate and connect with others. The other connection, I told you there were many layers to this full moon. The other connection is that Mars, which is the planet of our goals, it's the masculine planet of war, of assertion, of aggression, of moving forward in one direction, is in Libra. Libra is the sign of peace, balance, and harmony. So when Mars is in Libra, it kind of goes backwards and forwards about, should I say this? Should I not say this? Should I keep the peace? Should I act? What shall I do? It's a little bit this balancing the scales all the time. Now, Mars in Libra is in an opposition to Saturn and Neptune. So you can see we've got some very big alignments, and they're all quite close together as well. So Mars in Libra opposite Saturn and Neptune, that creates kind of a strange energy, because on one side, Mars in Libra wants to move forward, but he's sort of thinking, well, I shouldn't really move forward because this isn't going to be approved of, and this person's not going to like it, and it's going to create imbalance, so maybe I shouldn't move forward. Saturn, which is opposing it, is saying, well, consider it and put the structures in to move forward in a diplomatic way, or to say what you need to do or do what you need to do in a balanced, peaceful, harmonious way. However, Neptune's there as well, and Neptune can actually create a bit of fogginess in terms of our desire to actually move forward. So there's another bit of friction there between Mars, which is action, Neptune, which is surrender, and Saturn, which is wait, hold back, reassess. So it can feel that you really want to move forward, but there's something holding you back, or there's just confusion. Confusion. There could be water issues for some people because Neptune is watery. There can be a sense of things dissolving and things being unclear and obscured. But it's really not necessarily the moment to move forward in any one direction. It's more to actually just hold on, feel into the energies, and then once the full moon is passed, then reassess and relook, I would say, based on this energy. And then there's some really beautiful alignments too. So it's not all difficult. We have a beautiful alignment with Venus and Jupiter, which are known as our two beneficial planets. They are dancing very close together in Cancer, and Cancer is offering a sanctuary of peace, of home, of emotional kind of generosity amidst the turbulence of all this other change. The basic place that we will find a sense of connection is our inner home and our actual home as well. So beautiful meals together, time spent just being, cozying up at home, all those things will actually help to balance this rather fiery energy of change. So it's really important that we root into that and be quite compassionate with whatever's arising for us emotionally as well. That's what this is asking that we nurture ourselves if we can, and actually be compassionate about what is arising, even if the shadows are arising, even if the uglies are arising, even if the unknown is arising, even if we don't know what we're doing. Can we just hold a space, a kind, tender space for that? That's what Venus and Jupiter are saying to us together in the sky. And then we have two, not one, but two kites. A kite in astrology is what we call a grand trine. And then on top of the grand trine, there's another smaller little triangle forming a kite. And a kite is a very compelling, very powerful alignment to have in a birth chart or to have in the sky at any time, because it helps us to break through. It breaks the tension that I've explained with these other sort of tense aspects. The kite actually enables us to rise our consciousness up and to see the bigger picture and to liberate ourselves from the drama. So I'm seeing this kite as a really beautiful symbolic representation of the liberation energy which we have at our fingertips. If we caught up too much in the noise, in the drama, in the mind, if we too caught up in trying to fix everything, or if we're too caught up with wanting to keep the status quo and keep the peace and keep everything steady and stable and static, it's going to be more difficult. The energies of not only the full moon, but moving forward. If we embrace change and we look at everything that happens in our lives as an opportunity to grow and expand, then we're actually flying and liberating ourselves from, let's just call it the matrix, because this is all about liberation. And the liberation happens when we connect it into the heart. So I'm going to keep saying that over the next few years, because the more we connect it to our heart center, the part of us that makes us human, the easier it is for us to navigate whatever's happening around us. The easier it is to navigate the storms. If you get caught up in the storm, we get lost. If we get caught up in the storm of information, who's telling the truth, who's not telling the truth, what can you believe? It exhausts us. It depletes our energy. It sucks our energy away from us. And that's what keeps us dumbed down and stuck. So if we can liberate ourselves from that, from the storm of the surrounding information, of the surrounding challenges, and keep our center within the storm, that's the liberation. The liberation isn't coming necessarily, and probably not, from some outward happening where suddenly everything's fine and all the governments are all fine and there are no wars and there's peace and harmony on earth. Wouldn't that be wonderful? But what if that's not going to happen right now? How do we actually move through the next few years? How do we liberate ourselves? Because this is the energy of change and liberation. So how do we find liberation? We find liberation by connecting to something more eternal, to something more profound than just the external problems and issues and challenges of life. Because that's always going to be there on some level. So how do we navigate the challenges? How do we take full responsibility for where we are in each and every moment? How do we tell the truth of where we are to ourselves in each and every moment? And how do we hold a gentle space for what wants to emerge? How do we hold a gentle space for ourselves and others as we move through this incredible, transformative, catalytic place that we find ourselves in our humanity? So it's quite a big full moon. Take time at the full moon to create something symbolic, Maybe do a little ritual, light a candle, let go of what you don't need, do something unusual. Aquarius loves it if you do something unusual and out the box. Do something new. Go to a place that you haven't been before and ignite something else inside you, which also help to guide us home to who we really are. I really do know that we are evolving and changing and moving and shifting into different timelines and shifting into higher levels of consciousness. And this is part of our journey. This is what we've chosen to come to experience. If you really want to reset and you really want to use this energy that we are experiencing to reset, reboot, and be the change that you want to see in the world, you might want to join us in Hogsback. Hogsback is one of the most amazing places on earth, powerful beyond measure in terms of transformation. And we have our retreat there from the 19th to the 23rd of September. And we not only have chosen it because it's a new moon in Virgo. It happens to also be a solar eclipse. And the next day, while we're still there, we're going to be having the spring equinox in South Africa. That is an incredibly powerful portal for transformation. And so being in a place where the transformational energy is there already, it's incredibly beautiful. and we've got all this energy, we see this as a real reset, reboot. So there's space available. We're going to be doing amazing stuff to reconnect ourselves to the truth of who we really are, let go of that which we don't need to carry, and liberate ourselves so that we're ready to embrace the changes that are actually happening on our planet as we speak. So join us. You can find out all about it. I've put the link in the description below. You can still benefit from an early bird special if you have a look at the details in the description below. So join us for that. And if you'd like a chart done to see where these incredible energies are playing out, where Pluto is, where Neptune is, where Uranus is, where all these big moves are happening in your chart, you might like to book a session with me and we can look at your chart either for the first time, or we can look at the solar return or the transits or the progressions, which are the movements around your chart that are happening at any one particular time. Thank you for listening. This has been quite a long session, but I do have a card for us. I pulled the card out of the Divine Feminine because I felt that we need some feminine energy for this full moon. The card that I pulled is a card that I haven't pulled before, ever, and it's Pope Joan, the Pontiff of Possibilities. And this is, I love this, just this on its own. The possibilities are limitless because the soul is limitless. This is a very interesting card to have pulled for the full moon in Aquarius, because Aquarius is the visionary, the rebel, the maverick, and Pope Joan embodies the truth that all things are possible. According to popular legend, there was a female pope who reigned for 3 years in the 9th century. She was a brilliant, highly educated woman who entered the Catholic Church in Rome by cross-dressing as a man so that she could be with her lover. Intelligent and quick-witted, she rose through the ranks of the church hierarchy and was eventually elected as the Pope. 3 years into her reign, and she was in a procession from St. Peter's to the Lateran in a lane once known as the Via Sacra, the Sacred Way. Her true sex was dramatically revealed in the middle of the Sacred Way when she gave birth, surrounded by a shocked and astounded crowd. Can you imagine? One legend says that she was killed immediately and buried on the spot where she had given birth. Another says that she lived on to do penance on her deception, and her son, who became the Bishop of Ostia, had her entombed with honor in his cathedral when she died. Interesting. In the 13th century, Joan de Mali wrote a chronicle that contains the first written mention of the unnamed female pope. This inspired a wildfire of interest that spread throughout Europe. To this day, the legend of Pope Joan is widely believed, especially among Christians. So when your soul selects this card, we can so easily get caught beneath the glass ceiling of what we think is possible. But the truth is that everything is possible. It's hard for us to imagine just how much the divine wants for our lives, much more than we could ever hope. Pope Joan reminds us that even if we think that what we want isn't possible, it is. Or even better, there is something our soul wants for us that will give us more than we can think to ask for. Pope Joan is assigned to trust in what you believe about yourself. Leo, Sun. Trust what's within you. Don't rely on what you see around you or hear around you. Have faith. Know that the circumstances you are currently in are transformed from within, not from without, not when the outer changes its form. Begin to believe in a vision of your life. Cultivate the capacity to see it, to really imagine it with all your senses, and you will live into the day when it exists as the reality that now surrounds you. The human ego is limited and lives beneath a glass ceiling. Joan demonstrates to us that for the soul, the glass ceiling does not exist. Trusting what the soul knows is possible for you, this is what Joan's wry smile reminds us of. The soul voice meditation is what helps me remember that all things are possible for me. So that's beautiful. The possibilities are limitless because the soul is limitless. The formless dimension of who we are is limitless. That means that the possibilities are limitless. The mind will tell us that's not true. And the media will tell us that that's not true as well. And that was from the Divine Feminine, the pack by Megan Watterson, which is a beautiful pack. So thank you for listening. If you like this, please would you hit the like button. That helps to get it out there more. To share it also helps. Comment. Please let me know how you're feeling into this energy. And share it if you find that it is really interesting. Thank you so much for listening, and all the best for the full moon.